In the last demo, we created a new gradient and called it car background. Now we're going to fill a layer with that gradient. Selecting the background layer of tires, we're going to add a new layer and name that shading. Pick up your gradient tool in the toolbar, and in your basics folder, that second swatch should be your car background. You're going to select that. Make sure that in the options panel you have linear gradient selected, and you're going to click in the upper left hand corner and drag down and to the right to apply that gradient on a little bit of a diagonal. Now you can show all of your layers. And select the shading layer and change the blending mode from normal to overlay. Then select the background layer and change the opacity down to 10%. Be sure and read the section on page 149 covering the blending modes. There are a lot of different blending modes, more than I can go through right now, but they will be explained on that page quite well. To finish our magazine cover, we're going to place an image from an Illustrator file. We're going to go File, Place Linked, and select the Driver Magazine AI file. And in the dialog box, you want to select to crop to the bounding box and click OK. In the options bar, change the width and height values to 100% rather than the 100.02. And finalize the placement. In the Layers panel, drag that layer to the top of the stack. And using your Properties panel, place it at x.375, and we're working in inches on this one, and the y value should also be 0.375. Now it is going to change to 0.38. That's something that happens in the program. It's not going to affect anything as far as the actual placement. If we were to actually zoom in on that, it does carry out to the third decimal point. It's just a rounding up function that happens in Properties. Now this is the point where you're going to save this file, and you can export this out to me. If we were to save this file, this is a 21 megabyte file. That's a little bit large for you to send to me. So what I would really prefer that you do is send this down as a low resolution PDF file. So if you go up to File and you do a Save As or an Export, Save As will work just fine. Save it to your computer. You're going to change this to a PDF file. There it is. You're going to save this as a copy. Make sure you put your initials on there or something, and do a save. We're saving the layers, and in your PDF file, please go in, save this as the smallest file size, and save your PDF. The file that you're going to save it to is then going to be about 340K, which is very easy for you to send. It'll open up as a PDF file. I can also take that and I can open that in Photoshop, and I'll be able to check it out a little bit better in there. It's going to be a flat layer because that is the way that the PDFs will come through, but I will still be able to go through and grade based on how everything appears on screen. There's just too large of files to send the full one. Now, if you had some problems and you need to have me take a look at the layers, I'll show you another method that you can use. We're going to go up into image here. Now, if you've already turned yours in, you had no problems, don't worry about this, but if you have something that you want me to look at, and go to image size and change the resolution on this down to 72, or you can even do it at 100, which is probably just a hair smidge better, but it's going to be a little blurry because it's going to be screen resolution. And if you say OK to that and then go to File and do a Save As and save this out as a low-res PDF. So if I go into this, and I've already got one that I did this as, and I go to Magazine Screen and save it as Magazine Screen Res. That way I know which one I'm doing. And I go to Save. Yes, I'm replacing because I did it once before. I'm going to instead, because remember this is now only a 100 pixel per inch, and I choose Press Quality and preserve the Photoshop editing capabilities, which means it will save the layers for me, save my PDF. When I go back into my folder and I look at my ScreenRes PDF file, which I can take and open up in Photoshop, I'll be able to see all of the layers as they were, and it's only going to be a 10 megabyte file. So it's 10.2 megs, which you can upload. It'll take up a bit of space, but if you really, if you need me to take a look at your layers because something didn't turn out quite right, that's going to be the absolute best way to do it, okay? Now, we're not going to go through the thing for printing a composite proof. It's a nice thing to be able to do. You guys did, we went through a demo on printing for the Illustrator files. We don't have anything that's going to work for the classroom. I don't have the proper type of a printer in there. I can't print the specs that we need. There are some good points in here that you need to understand for printing on page 153 if you're going to be getting into actual printing. If that's the way you're leaning in your graphics work, then read the print output options section. Many of you are going on into game design or web, and you won't be as concerned with this. And that's the end of the chapter.